Recording in progress.
Yes, sir.
Test, test. Pretty good. We'll call the meeting to order. American Canyon Fire Protection District Board meeting for February 27th, 2024. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Board Member Joseph,
Here.
Board Member Oro.
Vice Chair Oro here.
Oh, sorry, Vice Chair Oro. Board Member Washington,
Here.
Chair Garcia.
Here. Thank you. Move on now to report on closed session, confirmation of reportable action. Mr. Ross.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, members of the public. The board convened in open session at 5:32 p.m. to ascertain if there were any comments on the closed session matters. After ascertaining there were not, you adjourned to closed session at 5:33, and you concluded closed session at 6:31. I'll do a written report upon return from closed session under Government Code Section 54 and 57.1B concerning each of the three matters. That would conclude the report unless there are questions.
Any questions from board members?
No, sir.
Seeing none, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Ross. We'll move on. There are no proclamations or presentations this evening. Public comment, have we received any public comment? Items not on the agenda?
No, Chair.
Anybody online?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Any agenda changes, council, if not, or district board members? If not, we'll move on to consent calendar.
Chair Garcia, if we could on item 7 of consent, if we could pull policy 1027. There was a recent change in the federal labor code regarding this policy that we need to make changes on before we bring the policy back for the board for adoption.
So we need to update it then.
Yeah, we just need to update it. We were notified today through Lexipol of the change in the federal law. So apologize for not catching it sooner, but we were just notified today. Thank you.
Okay. Board members good with that?
Yes, and to that extent, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar with the noting item number 7, pulling policy 1027.
And I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. Roll call, please.
Board Member Joseph,
Yes.
Board Member Washington,
Yes.
Vice Chair Oro,
Yes.
Chair Garcia.
Yes. Okay, moving on then, we're on to public hearing this evening. That's item number 8 on the agenda. Conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing the American Canyon Fire Protection District to join the statewide Community Development Authority and authorize the district to enter into a joint exercise of powers agreement with CSCDA as part of the district's participation in SCIP.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to introduce Mr. Jeffrey Small from Capital PFG. He's a consultant we've used numerous times in the past, and he's helped guide us through this process of joining SCIP. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to someone who's more knowledgeable on this topic than I am, Mr. Small. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I very much appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Before you is a universal packet provided by the California Statewide Development Authority, and it allows the district to join the Joint Powers Authority so that a developer of Watson Ranch, 693 homes and some other improvements, can finance fees on behalf of the district. So by joining the authority, it will allow the developer, property owner, to put forth a funding application that will be negotiated. The terms of that are negotiated through a mitigation agreement, which is underway. So today we're here for step one. Step one is allows you to join this very well-known, very large authority. And again, that will allow the developer to actually engage, put forth his application, and then staff can return to your board for approval of a mitigation agreement and obtain the funding from the property owner. So with that, again, it is a universal packet. So one of the things that you'll notice, and we pride ourselves, I must say, on crafting things in a very personalized, custom way. But with big programs like this, they're written in a way that they're very broad. They include everything under the sun. So, but those are their documents, not ours. But those documents do accomplish the first task, which is simply to join that authority. So you will see some other documents in there that aren't really necessary for our purposes, but they are part of that packet. Following your approval tonight, we will be in touch with the authority. There's a resolution of intention that they will go ahead and adopt on their own. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, for the benefit of the public tuning in or will follow this meeting, could you elaborate more on the benefit to the community and the fire district?
Yeah, thank you I appreciate that. The benefit here is that you're able to get an agreement that might otherwise be difficult with a developer who is willing to provide additional funding that will be used in the future for a fire station. That's my understanding of the public improvement that's being looked at. So it allows for that. And the reason why a developer would be willing to come forward with this funding voluntarily is because this authority allows them to finance that cost rather than write an upfront check.
Very good.
So if I could add, Chair, and Mr. Small hit it on the nail on the head, but we're trying to look to the future, right? We know that we're going to have to construct a new fire station here in the near term. We know that fire stations have gotten very expensive, and more than likely we're going to need to finance that fire station, right? So by opting into SCIP in conjunction with the CFDs that we've been able to negotiate with the developers, that's going to provide us the bonding capability that we need to help fund the fire station. So really we're talking about something today that's really going to have long-term effects and benefits for the fire district in helping us to be able to make a new fire station on the north side of town a reality by having that capacity to bond against the CFDs that we are negotiating with developers that are in turn are put into SCIP. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Vice Chair Oro has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. So I'm a little confused. You know, Chief Elliott and I got an overview from him, and then I read the packet in full, and I understand bonding, selling future income that is usually tax-based, and then using that to get money now when you pay interest over time. Help me understand how this works out for us and what's the alternative or what's the status quo instead of joining this?
Well, thank you for that question. So typically, and I don't know if Chief, if you know, I'm going to leave room for you to comment to the extent that you know, it's appropriate, you know, based on what I have to say. But typically, impact fees are paid when it comes down to new development, and those fees are typically paid when a building permit is issued. When you have a SCIP program or a situation in which we want maybe some fees in addition to what a property owner is like legally obligated to pay, SCIP provides us with a platform to negotiate to achieve the present value of those fees up front. So, for example, let's say there's 693 homes that would pay a fee. Now, we don't know over what period of time those fees would be paid. And if you're going to finance the construction of a capital project like a fire station, it would be nice to know what money that you have today rather than just sort of waiting to see how many building permits are pulled each year and then how much money is going to come in. So what this does is it does deliver funds up front. It gives you some certainty. That's really the advantage to the district, in addition to simply getting a good mitigation agreement that you might not be able to get, but for the fact that you're doing something that also benefits the property owner applicant.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that helps me understand a little bit. And don't feel free, I know I'm looking over your shoulder and it's weird, but don't feel free to like, to have to look back. I'm watching you. I can see you clearly when you address the audience. So feel free to address the rest of the board there.
Yes.
As I was reading the documents, something popped up in my head, and it feels like the loss of control was an issue for me because we give it to this joint powers authority or this body to bond, to do, to run. What are we losing? What are we gaining? Can you help me explain or help me alleviate some fears that I have with that, I guess?
Thank you. And again,
Yeah.
great question. And I appreciate those questions because I think it does deliver transparency to the public as to why we're doing this. It's expensive to form a community facilities district. I mean, you would spend a lot of money to do that. I can give you an approximation, but with a very, unless you're doing a very large CFD with a lot of property owners, like, a couple thousand, it is very burdensome. So the idea here is to lessen the burden on government by going with an established joint powers authority that has an established program that also will allow you to pay, for instance, our fees. We can pass those through to the developer too. That is should be part of that negotiation. So there's benefits that way. As far as the loss of control, that is a fact that we're using somebody else's JPA. That entity will issue its own bonds. However, we do have our goals and our procedures and what is appropriate. So this authority will have to be responsive as to what it is we want. But the district is not, there will be a tax that is levied to repay these bonds. The district doesn't receive calls. It's the authority that does. The district doesn't have to worry about the administrative burdens. That's something the authority is going to do. So there are a lot of steps, administrative burdens that they will take on. That being said, I think it is extremely important that if someone else is going to assume these responsibilities, we want to make sure that they're doing it in a way that fits our ethos, what we think is good business, what we think is good policy, and also making sure that we are looking at, what is going on the tax roll, what is it that we're delivering, because at the end of the day, this is a special tax that's going to be levied on property that is owned by your constituency. So we definitely want to be mindful and oversee anything that does happen. But like I said, it is significant savings in terms of upfront costs and administrative burden to form your own CFD by going through the statewide authority.
Yeah, and let me just add a little bit more in terms of what I'm trying to learn here, and you explain a little bit. So it's for us to get money today or when we need it, and this and this is for new CFDs and new development. It's not for, there's not a special tax for those existing in the city already, right? These are for
Yeah,
new
and
development. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm so glad that you said that, because that point should be absolutely highlighted. This has nothing to do with existing development. If a building permit has already been pulled, if somebody else owns this property, this has nothing to do with that. It is really limited to property that is looking to be developed in Watson Ranch, where, building permits have not yet been pulled. It's a clean slate. So yes, this has nothing to do with the existing development.
And then let me ask one final question. You're bonding it, or you're creating a CFD. New development would end up paying it anyway, but in different ways, or it's not like this fee doesn't appear if we didn't create this CFD.
I can jump in on this one, Jeff.
Okay.
So the CFD is a new fee that has been negotiated with the developer. If the CFD was not negotiated, then this would not be a fee that would be charged to the constituents. This is, as you know, this is a negotiation between the developer. There's some give and take on the district side as well as the developer side. But really the CFD is an opportunity to provide I'm going to call the long-term sustainable funding to address the significant capital needs that we have with the construction of a new fire station. Did that answer your question, Vice Chair?
So it's in addition to our normal fire district fees that we're charging property owners now.
That is correct.
Okay. As we looked at this, and I know fire station's expensive. What are the possibilities of pay as you go? Chief, you and I talked about our fire station at 911 Donaldson, and that was paid for. Obviously, we had some help from the city. It was split. We paid in cash. We owned it. What does it look like if we were to pay as you go model or do more of a traditional financing option?
We would probably be looking at conservatively, I would say 10 to 15 years before we would even have remotely enough capital to even start talking about financing the fire station. It's costs have gone up considerably since 9/11 was built. Estimates now are upwards to the $20 to $30 million for a facility that would be large enough to fit our needs. And just roughly talking with some financing companies that would look at, if we did a 30-year, we're looking at conservatively $700,000 to $800,000 a year in essentially a mortgage payment. So we're just like when you buy a house, you have to put a certain amount of money down to have the equity. The bonding will help us with addressing the equity issue for getting the financing for the fire station.
Okay. And then my final question, and then I'm done. If we approve this resolution tonight, we can join this authority, but we can also never use it if we choose to do that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'll cede my time. Thank you for that.
Just, if I could just add one more thing. So Skip was the preferred choice of the developer that we've been in negotiations with. And Skip is while it's a very new thing for the fire district, we're exercising some abilities we have through the fire district law. The city also has already entered into a Skip agreement for a CFD as well within the city. So Skip is not something necessarily new to the city and the development world as a whole. It's just new to the fire district to get into this arena.
Thank you. Director Joseph.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. As I understand it, what we're really saying is we're trying to figure out how to finance a future fire station. And usually any kind of a capital asset that's going to be around for 50 years, it almost always makes more sense to finance it than to try to save up the money. And to the extent that we want to finance that, borrow money, then it's a question of what's the best company, if you will, to use. And so I think that's where SCIP comes into play. And I was going to mention, I know the city has entered into some community facility district programs. I kind of think it's the CSCDA, but I'm not 100% sure. And our city manager isn't here to correct me. But be that as it may, this is an established entity that's been around for decades, because I think in my former life I've used them. So it's been around for a while. It's a well-established program. And as you pointed out, it will make life easier from a staff perspective, because a lot of the administrative headaches that we could do if we wanted to do the financing gets pushed off to them. Granted, we need to make sure they show good customer service and all that good stuff. But by and large, I think this is the most practical way of going if the goal is to figure out a way to borrow some money to build a fire station, which is, I think, our intent. Some of the questions I had is the fire station doesn't have to be within the geographical boundary of those future units, just close enough that there's some value. So good, because I just wanted to be clear on that. And then the actual dollar amounts for each homeowner will be determined down the road once we figure out the price and the bonding and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the CFD amount will be a fixed amount that is negotiated with the developer, and in fact, that has already actually been negotiated. We had the board approve the term sheet, the last board meeting for the CFD component.
Okay. So, all right. So, unless I misunderstood the whole game plan, I think I'm okay with it.
Oh, you said it very nicely.
This reminds me of the improvements on American Canyon Road. The new development over here at Vintage Ranch is the one who's paying for the improvements on the road. I think that's how we managed to finance that. So doesn't apply to the whole city, though the whole city may benefit from some of it, but the impact was realized that we needed that improvement when we built all the new houses. This sounds very familiar to that issue. Okay, any other questions? All right, I will open public hearing at this point. Anybody from the public wishing to comment? Anybody online?
No, Chair.
Okay, I will close public comment and return to the board for further discussion this item.
I lost sound.
We're just saying it.
Some of us were eating, actually. If no one else objects, I'll try to find where I'm trying to go. Here we are. I'll make a motion. We approve resolution number 2024-06, resolution of the Board of Directors of the American Canyon Fire Protection District, authorizing the district to become a CSCDA program participant and to join the statewide community infrastructure program, authorizing the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to accept applications from property owners, conduct special assessment proceedings and levy assessments and special taxes, and to form assessment districts and community facilities districts within the territory of the American Canyon Fire Protection District, embodying a joint community facilities agreement setting forth the terms and conditions of community facilities district financings, approving form of acquisition agreement for use when applicable, and authorizing related actions.
I'll second.
That was a lot.
It was.
Yes, along with, yes, okay, roll call, please.
Board Member Joseph,
Yes.
Board Member Washington,
Yes.
Vice Chair Oro,
Yes.
Chair Garcia.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you for your presentations. Evening, sir. Moving on with our agenda with business items, we have none this evening. Fire Chief oral report is next.
Yes, thank you, Chair. A couple items I'd like to update the board on this evening. The first one I want to draw back to when we gave the update on our master plan. We talked about one of the recommendations from the consultant was increasing our community risk reduction and so forth within the community. So I think this is a perfect example of how we're doing that, and it may not be as visible as some other things, but has very significant meaning. So our PIO, Ms. Preventure, she partnered with Officer Patterson from the police department, community resource officer, and they had a monthly community meeting and coffee with the Las Casitas Mobile Home Park.
Oh, good.
They also enlisted the help of one of our engine companies. And during that meeting, we educated residents on the proper use of an automatic external defibrillator, a device that can help restart someone's heart if they have a heart attack and their heart stops. Taught them how to perform hands-only CPR, along with signing up the residents to Nixle or Everbridge so that they can receive emergency alerts. Completing the file of life form, which is a form that they keep readily available. So if the fire department or ambulance service comes for a medical emergency, it's very handy. We can look, see what medications are on, their medical history to help with the treatment of the patient. And then something that seems somewhat trivial but is very, very important is teaching them how to program their emergency contacts in their cell phone, so that if they do have an emergency, they have not only they can contact their emergency contacts, but first responders can also look at their phone and go, oh, this is emergency contact, we'll call them, let them know that their friend, loved one is having an emergency. But that meeting is just an example of the continued strong effort that we're putting out as the fire district to build those community relations, as well as help make our community more resilient by giving them the tools that they could use in the event of an emergency. And this kind of tags on to both Ms. Preventure and Ms. Patterson's efforts, where they have monthly meetings with the mobile home park and apartment managers within the city, just to continue to share prevention messages and work on that collaboration. So the first time that the apartment manager, the mobile home manager contacts the fire department, it's not an emergency. So really proud of the work of everyone involved in that. And it was very well received by the residents, and we'll continue doing that.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly express our appreciation for all the work done. I think probably the medication list may be attached to the refrigerator with a magnet type
Yep.
of thing, so everybody knows it's a standard procedure. You just grab that. I appreciate it on certainly the senior population, were those most in need, but just the thought occurs to me it might be helpful for the community also to be aware of standards like that it would apply to their house as well. So
Yeah, and
hopefully to move forward on with that. Yeah.
absolutely. And that's some of the stuff we try to message during the Meet Me in the Streets events, where we get a
Yes, we've been
large
thinking of this.
cross-section of the community coming by
Just
our
thinking of
booths
that,
and
yeah.
interacting with our folks. But yeah,
Very good. Well, I look forward to that expanding. That is very good work.
thank you. Also, I'm happy to report I shared with the board that we'd received the new extrication tools, or the Jaws of Life, through the Office of Transportation Safety grant. All the crews have been trained, and all of those new tools are on our rigs, out responding every day. In fact, last week during the rain, they actually used one of the tools to help get someone out of a car. So very insignificant, as far as it wasn't thankfully it wasn't significant injuries or so forth, but there were some challenges with opening the door so they're able to use the tool rather quickly to get them out out of the weather, off the roadway, and transported to the hospital for the medical attention. Couple other items. I shared with the board a little bit of an update this morning, but we've had 2 structure fires recently here in the city, and both of those fires were when one of our 2 battalion chiefs were on duty and responded with the crews right out the door. Really showed, I've shared with you that we have a lot of benefits with the battalion chief position, but you know, this just kind of highlights the operational benefits, right? So the first in engine company, the captain, which before we had the battalion chiefs, traditionally would have to stay outside the building, command the incident until a chief officer arrived. The captain and firefighter were able to get inside the building rather quickly and really extinguish a fire much quicker than we had in the past. So just another benefit I wanted to share with the board for supporting the 2 battalion chief positions, and we're seeing the benefits of it every day. But these 2 recent fires really highlighted the benefit of it. And then the last item I wanted to update is wanted to talk to you a little bit about the gentleman sitting to my right, Mr. Campbell. Very humble individual, very hardworking, but we just started a recruit academy for 3 new hires. And traditionally we've used a fire captain to act as the academy lead and be there every day with the students, make sure the drills and everything are going. With some of the vacations and some staffing shortages, we didn't really have the ability to take a captain off the engine for a month to facilitate the academy. So Chief Campbell stepped up and has been leading the academy every day. It's a month-long academy. I make the joke that he's smiling a lot more because he's out doing firefighting tasks instead of administrative tasks. But, you know, that was really a selfless act by Chief Campbell to take that added burden on top of his normal day-to-day burdens, with the reasoning to want to share and alleviate some of the burden that are on our captains with staffing the engines as well as running the academy. So we're in week 2, almost halfway done. He's still smiling. The new recruits are still smiling. And obviously both our engine companies are engaged every day with the academy, helping shape the future of our fire district. But I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all the hard work and selfless acts that Chief Campbell is taking on to be able to facilitate this academy and not put the added burden on the folks on the engine. So that concludes my report for this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Well, Chief Campbell, it's just, thank you for doing that. It really speaks volumes to your commitment to and dedication. Thank you. Any other comment from the board?
I tentatively, I may not be here at the next month's meeting. I said that last month and I'm here, but this is part of that tax measure that Napa Valley Transportation Authority is working on, that we're going to go talk to all the jurisdictions in the county and explain and hopefully advocate for. So tentatively, I won't be here at the next Fire District Board meeting.
Okay.
But that could change.
Thank you for the heads up. Board Member Washington.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just want to say over the weekend on Saturday, I was able to go by and visit with the firefighters at their association meeting. They were really upbeat. They were really positive, very complimentary of you, Chief, you, Cliff. Definitely complimentary of you, Martha and Laura. So they seemed like they were happy and enjoying what's going on. I met 2 of the 3 new cadets, or do you call them cadets? Firefighters. Okay, firefighters. I met 2 to 3 firefighters. I don't want to insult them. And they seemed like they were really excited. You know, they talked about Chief Campbell being out there helping out, so thank you. You know, they looked like they were very happy. Talked to Robert a little bit about the cadet program, which is different. Seeing them-
Explorer program, yeah.
Explorer program, yeah. I've been seeing, I'm messing them all up, right? I'm gonna call it whatever. I gotta get a cadet out there. Yeah, but I've been watching them. They're running out and about. They look real enthused themselves. So I was excited about that. But I believe with these 3 new hires, it's gonna be for the first time in a long time that the fire district has been at 100%, which is, really encouraging for the firefighters as well. So they share that with me. And then I left them some senorita breads just to keep their sweet tooth going. So it was a good visit. I appreciate them welcoming me in there that night, that morning. So got a good crew. Thank you.
Any further comments? Okay, Chair Board, comments, committee reports, and future agenda items. We've had a few comments already. Any committee reports or future agenda items?
Nothing.
None? Seeing none, hearing none?
Chair, if I could just add on real quick, Board Member Washington brought up Martha, and, I'd be remiss if I didn't. I talked about some of the work that some of the other members of our team did, but, Martha really is, she's the fire chief. She keeps me in line, and she does amazing work, and as well as clerk the board and everything else. So really wanted to acknowledge Martha as well and thank her. We're still sticking to another 15 years, but she really makes our job easy in a lot of respects. So Martha, thank you as well.
I think all the firefighters refer to her as their work mom.
No, we certainly all value your work, Martha. You just,
We do. We do.
we can always count on you. All right, if there's no other, nothing else for the meeting this evening, then we have concluded our work. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Good night, American Canyon.